Well, crapola. Looks like I missed another roll. I've been not counting artillery in the stacking limitations. They don't count over in the in the bastion locations, but they do count against stacking in the parallels. The biggest effect of this is, well, there's actually a few effects. One is your guns in your gun galleries are going to actually take up space, so you can only have one unit coming out. But perhaps more importantly, you can't shift your guns to your gun galleries when you first build it. I'll play with that from now on, but I've probably done some harm to the game by not doing that. Brings to mind, one of my viewers is leaving comments and then withdrawing them, I think, so that only I see them. That's not necessarily what I meant with it. I was just dropping the knowledge that, hey, if you write something on the video and take it away, nobody else sees it, but I do. It was more of a warning because I think somebody removed a comment because they thought they might hurt my feelings or something. Honestly, if you got a comment to make, it's absolutely cool to just make it. I mean, don't worry about pissing me off or anything. I mean, yes, I get pissed off, but but no, I'm not angry at you usually. I'm usually going to be angry at myself for missing a roll or something. And actually, interesting conversations can come from, like, a rules mistake. Sometimes somebody has put one out and I've said, you're right, but I actually enjoy what I did wrong better. In this case, I'm not sure how I feel about it. It does seem like the heavy gun and the crew would take up some room, but would it be as much as an infantry full unit? I don't know, but it might. Anyway, that's how the game's supposed to be played. And like with the terrain, I miss things. This game is just like a bugaboo for me. I have a really tough time learning it, understanding it. Anyway, I guess we get to move forward, and I have a few things to place, including this leader who I screwed up the rules on and should have come in earlier. For the 1st Brigade, we'll put him over there. He doesn't combine with Boufflers, and I've got Boufflers there who's more important to him. I also have to allocate these guns, and that's going to take some thought because I think I want some here, but I have none up here. I've got like 4 guns, so I'll probably put 2 in each bastion to try to defend the position. The thing that becomes obvious, and I think I've learned this before on other times I've played it, is the French don't have to defend right at the front. So if they have artillery in place, or even nothing, at the walls of the front of the bastion, they don't actually have to have troops there. And that would have saved them a lot of casualties here if they didn't. So you can say this probably, so far, is going very, very heavily in favor of the French. Had they played a little bit more cleverly, they could have kept their units right off the walls of the bastion. The reason you do that, the reason you don't need them there is the Allies don't get up the bastion, into the bastion from the assault position until after the French units get to move. Which means you can be not on the walls and still defending the walls from behind. And so all the artillery fire to knock down those front walls is going to not affect the units. Of course, I could fire artillery behind the walls to kill units, and probably would have had to, but then I'm further away from the artillery fire and less likely to take the +1 hit. This could have been over if the French hadn't had so many units exposed. The losses the Allies have taken are tremendous, but we'll just keep going as it is. We got some replacements to take, and I've got to put a little bit of thought into this. Do I want a 4th Brigade or a Dragoon replacement? I've got the 4th Brigade spread out over here. I don't have to put it there. I don't have any Dragoons on the board. Let's take a Dragoon replacement because that gets me another leader, and I'll put them somewhere. And then obviously for the Allies, I just want the best I can take. And I don't want to take English because I'm limited the number of times I can use the English, although the number of times I'm going to assault is pretty limited already. I'll place these suckers, and then we have an attrition turn. Ooh. Attrition's pretty easy, but it may be what decides this game. We're just going to roll on these tables. Wow, it looks like it's almost assured decided. The reason here is the rules don't specify, but they also don't negate that attrition casualties, which include defection, you know, just leaving the army, desertion, all kind of stuff like that, would count against the losses on the card. But the numbers favor the French. Illness is also a factor, but obviously there's not going to be a lot of desertion from the city. There's nowhere to go. Okay, so the French make a roll here, and they're going to lose 1 unit. The Germans are going to lose 2 units, and the Dutch are going to lose 3 units. That means I've lost 5 400 units for the Dutch. That's 2,000. So we're going to flip this back over. I don't know. I should put something under it. I'll put 2 of these counters under it for now. Indicate we're further along. And now the French are going to lose only 1, so this moves up 400. So right now we're at 8,800 to 21,400. Which means we're over that 12,000 limit. Okay. It doesn't get assessed now. It gets assessed at the end of the turn. But if the Allies don't manage to do at least 800 more casualties to the French, they lose. And 800 more than they take. That's going to be tough to do. As we can see, the assault isn't going to help that. The only thing that is cannon fire. And unfortunately, I learned how to protect the French troops from cannon fire this turn. Well, apparently I didn't learn how to defend them well enough. There were plenty of guys up along the line, and I just bombarded the crap out of them. A lot of ammo came in this turn. 42 and 9 mortar ammo. I put my mortar back there, cheating, but the reason is because I only removed it because it was filling up, it was cluttering the board with no use because it had no ammo. I forgot I got more. I blew away tons and tons of French units. We've got a casualty limit of what? That looks like 11,200. Now, we're at 21,400. Which means I'm under the 12,000, which we could have done in our head. This is a problem. The French are down to 1, 2, 3. There's no one here. 4, 5, 6 units in the Citadel. I don't have to launch an assault. Because I'm under my 12,000, I'm able to maintain the siege. There's not enough of a French garrison to hold the city. They are going to surrender. Now, let's make sure there's nothing else. So, the assault segment only happens if the Allies choose to make it happen. And they would not. The French get to do operational movement. The only thing the French could do to try to cancel this out is a sortie. So we'll take a shot at a sortie. But the English, or the Allies, will have leaders back in their spaces. Here I have Temple. I got to figure out where my leaders want to go. But I should have... oh, there he is. Okay. So I'll distribute my leaders and then try a sortie. That's sort of the French last chance at destroying enough units that... I don't know what happens if both people reach their sort of automatic victory at the same point at the same turn. But you would assume, I don't know, something. There's nothing in the rules about that. All right, so I'll try a sortie just to see if I can bring them down to the 12,000. With the sortie is there aren't any allied units in those boxes, so I'm not going to get a kill ratio up there. I'll do it anyway. But this is what we've got, is 1 allied infantry, a bunch of cav. So 9 divided by 2 is 4. 6 units I get to peel off. 2, 4, 5, 6. The sortie fails. The cav is able to screen the force. And that is the game. Now, where I cheated, or misinterpreted, or missed rules, is really more than misinterpreted. Missed rules. I think it was inevitably in favor of the Allies. There was there's a possibility that maybe I didn't pay enough for crossing some of the bad terrain, but I think I caught back up on that and said, I think we were okay. I think we had enough points total to have built it. It's just I hadn't been apprised of that rule by a helpful viewer. And apparently, either someone's following along in the rules in this, or really knows this game well and loves it. This game has always been a problem for me. I've always had difficulty getting this one to work correctly. And one of the factors is that little trick that I told you about the French. This is the big one. If the French aren't on the walls, you can't shoot them down. The Allies are going to get shot in their trenches. They have to garrison them. They have to have troops in them when they're building them. There's enough artillery fire for the French to blow those things away as they get into range. Now, what could have maybe helped the Allies was an early assault. I waited too long to assault, and maybe my losses grew too much there. The French sorties also brought the losses up, but I can't see this being possible the way I played it if the French were just a little bit careful for the Allies to have any chance in it. So that ticking time bomb of your units being lost will force you to an assault, to earlier assaults. And those are going to actually drive up your unit losses. But I definitely delayed some turns, building out more, trying to spread the French defenses. The reality is you don't need to spread the French defenses all that much. It doesn't do you that much good. As long as there's anything in the bastion, it can probably pretty much prevent your advances there. So we'd probably see a much, much bloodier game. I think it's going to be really tough for the Allies no matter how you look at it, though. But by cheating, or playing the French really, really poorly and putting their units on the walls, I managed to make it a very close game that came down to, well, just blowing up enough units. I guess we'll send this up as the wrap. It's kind of short, and come back with a little review of this one. I probably said most of what I needed to say throughout, but